All right, all right. Good evening, and welcome to episode 3 of the Theory of Relatives podcast. I am Relative Alex, aka Funzy.
Relative Derek.
What's going on? I'm Relative Greg, aka A9G.
Relative Nick checking in.
I am Relative Reg.
And we have a special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Relative Hans, aka Lynx.
And welcome to episode 3 of the podcast of the Theory of Relatives, TOR. Today we got a good setup for you. We're going to talk about Kobe Bryant's estate and what's going on with all his trademarks. We're going to talk about the Derek Chauvin verdict. Then we're going to talk about the Ohio shooting with the 15-year-old young girl. Then we're going to go into a clip with Steve Harvey, and I'll play that for you guys. And then we're going to we're going to start off with Redman and Method Man. And I'm going to pass it over to Greg. Go ahead.
I don't know how I was appointed the Red and Meth expert, but it was great. It was great. It was scheduled on a perfect day for 20. The shit was live. Honestly, I feel like it was probably the best verses so far. I mean, and that says a lot because the Earth, Wind, and Fire and IZ Brothers verses was amazing, yo. But they kept that energy up, man. It was dope. It was very dope. It was very dope, yo. So I was smiling the entire time, man. Pretending like I knew all the words. I did it though. But it was great though, man. I knew the classics though. It was great. I loved it, man.
Did you feel it was more like a versus, or did you feel it was more of a concert this time around?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of how because they basically did their stage routine, and I mean, it wasn't a versus, it's Red and Meth, they're like brothers, you know what I mean? So it's never going to be Red versus Meth for real, but it was just cool to just see those two legends, and real shit. This reminded you how nice Redman is, yo. Because when he's going over his songs, yo, that dude's pen is stupid, yo. His pen is stupid, man. But, yo, man, it made me appreciate. It really made me appreciate, you know what I mean? It made me appreciate the classic hip-hop. The stuff, yo, it's not a lie when we say that, we grew up off of the gold standard of hip-hop, man. It's beyond opinion. It's just straight objective truth, yo.
Yeah.
For real. But yo, I mean, that's all I got to say about it, though. But it's worth a watch, even if you don't care about Redman and Method Man. It's worth a watch, yo, because it felt like a party. Yeah, it was dope. It was very dope.
I definitely enjoyed it. Oh, go ahead.
What was your favorite cameo out of all the little cameos they had? Which one?
I think my favorite one, because it was a surprise, Keith Murray. That was cool. Look at Nikki's face. I knew. Yeah, Keith Murray. Yep, Keith Murray.
Did you have a different one, Nikki?
I didn't get to see all of it. I only saw little clips, and I think was it Inspector Deck that came out?
Yeah, Deck came out.
I saw that, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" But now that you see, I'm gonna go back and watch the full thing on YouTube, so I can really, because I was busy doing stuff, so I didn't get to sit down and be immersed in it. But for the little bit that I did catch, I loved it. And like you said, that is the gold standard of hip hop, when the beats and the lyrics drove the song. Not a dig on anything new today, because I enjoy a lot of today's rap too, but I miss that. It was a bit of nostalgia for me. So,
and we're back. The interruption right there. So do you think with this next case I'm about to talk about, as far as the cops' actions, so I want to talk about the cops' actions in this next one. So in Ohio, there was a young girl, 15-year-old. She called the cops because 4 girls apparently had came to their house to try to fight her. Now, in the situation, she had a knife and she was shot in the altercation when the cops pulled up. Now, during that as well, it was said that if you watch the video, you could see that there's a victim or one person being pushed onto the ground. There's a man kicking the girl, and then you can see the other young lady with the knife a gun, about to stab the girl in pink, and then that's the officer's body cam footage, and then he begins to shoot. Now we've all talked about this now about the black and brown, where police are the first thing that they do is grab for their gun. Do you feel like there could have been any difference? I understand it does. The video is it's harsh to see a black young girl die. We never want that. What could be some alternatives? Do you think there could have been any way to bring down the altercation, or anybody can?
I like to touch on that a little bit.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing I've been talking to a lot of people about, is that it all stems down to the training of the police academy. Because all these cops have to go through the police academy to get their training.
Yep.
And I felt that coming onto that scene, the police academy is supposed to train you how to handle a situation like that. And coming onto that scene and seeing that someone doesn't have a gun, they have a knife, or they might have a different type of weapon to handle that situation differently. So I felt like he could have tased her and she would have instantly dropped. He didn't need to shoot. And that's part of the thing. Same thing with George Floyd case. You know, the police academy is the ones that train you to do that knee on the neck. There's no need to do a knee on the neck. They try to train you to do the knee on the neck to handcuff you, but it took this guy to decide, I'm going to do the knee on the neck for 9 minutes. Because I learned it from the academy. You got what I'm saying? So the academy's got to find new tactics, new things to do, new ways to train. And that's one of the biggest problems.
I wanted to jump in earlier. Just thanks, Hans, for bringing that up. But I did also want to add to that. It's like when they go into these communities, there's a different decorum, there's a different code of conduct depending on the call and who's involved. These police officers are also taught life-saving procedures like CPR, like de-escalation, tactics to prevent someone from suicide. All of these things, they're taught all of these things. So when you go into a situation with a group of kids, a group of girls, yes, you don't know what you're going to expect. You may walk into conflict where you have a threat on your life for real. But too often they're using the most extreme and final course of action to deal with a situation without even giving time or giving any breathing room to assess what's going on. Too many times, in the last month, we've had 30 mass shootings of some kind? Were all of these people subdued with deadly force? No. So while yes, as a tactician, you draw your gun to put somebody down. But if that's what you're doing every time you step into a neighborhood, especially in a neighborhood when someone doesn't look like you, this is not a matter of training to me. This looks deliberate. There's a lack of care. There's a lack of reverence for these people. So whatever happens, happens. I don't like what you're doing. You got something in your hand, you're going down. You're talking too loud, you're going down. You shouting, you jumping, you're going down. And that is the mentality that they approach you with. I've experienced this on a lighter level, but I've experienced this myself in New York, in Florida. Like, this is people hanging out. Now, mind you, these scenarios, I would think like this is like club letouts. We know club letouts are stupid. They get out of control. They get crazy. A bunch of the times, a lot of the fracas between the people and the cops were perpetuated by law enforcement. Screaming at people. Half of them are drunk. They're just there, screaming at people, walking the horse into the crowd, like doing stuff to really provoke, the bad elements that are now going to take this and act a fool and escalate. None of these tactics were to de-escalate. They were purely to subdue and destroy, almost like warrior tactics. And I'm like, you're going into civilian spaces with the most extreme force. It does not make sense. And then on top of that, you have other people, Caucasian people, who are escalating, who are cursing at cops, saying, being belligerent. They have wielding weapons, all of that. Not saying that a white person will survive every time. Of course, cops gun them down too. But the ratio between benign situations to dangerous situations when it involves black and brown people versus white people are starkly and very obviously and purposefully different. We can't be, we have to be honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl's name is Micaiah Bryant. Bryant is her name. And, it's important to say these people's name because they existed. And the girl was trying to defend herself from getting jumped by another group of girls, something that should not have happened. And it took her, she lost her life over some stupid kid fracas that should not have reached that point. So.
Okay. Nikki, I got a question for you. So, when I heard the story, and I know the evidence is still coming in, and they're still trying to figure this out, but I heard that after she called, so they were fighting, they were jumping her. She went into the house, called the police, and then came back outside with a knife. So then, in the midst of what was going on before the police arrived, she was outside with a knife, and she was engaging with this fighting back and forth. Now, from the body camera that I saw of the cop, she definitely looked like she was very close to stabbing that one young girl there. Do we not taking that into consideration that this young, girl, Micaiah, was almost, pretty much, she could have potentially been a murderer? Do we not take that into consideration and say, hey, this was a young black life that should not be taken into consideration? We should have found another avenue to go ahead and deal with that.
I do believe in the split, in the heat of the moment, what he did, though I feel like you exhaust all measures. Now, if he's thinking or coming in there with the thought, like, I have a split-second decision to prevent a stabbing, they're already running that story. They're already going with that, and hence why this video was released so quickly. Because several other cases, they're like a month old. I think even Floyd's case, wasn't it a little old by the time they released it?
By the time they released the body cam footage, it was months later.
Way
later. Yeah.
So there is no spin here. So for them, they're saying like, I saw a deadly situation, I de-escalated it, I neutralized it.
Mm-hmm.
And good. But even still, it's still, to me, they're even worse than this. There are too many examples of even deadlier situations, real gun exchange, and they still apprehend the person. This is not going to be a perfect slam dunk type of thing. It's not, because in the heat of the moment, you might pop somebody for real if you think that they're going to do an action that's going to end a life. But still, I feel like it's an easy way to kind of get out of this when there are still so many other tactics that could have been employed first. Now, if he implored her, screamed at the top of his lungs, stop, put the knife down, put the knife down, put the knife down, I'm going to shoot you. Okay, maybe that wouldn't have worked. We'll never know. But too many times, it's the shoot first, ask questions later type of thing, and then you're finding out it wasn't what it was. Now, was she trying to murder this girl? I don't know. The fact that she called the cops, I think she was scared. I think she was scared, and just kind of, you ever see when girls fight and they just throw their fists everywhere and they're just doing craziness because they're trying to just
down.
Help? Mm-hmm. That's what this looks like to me. She doesn't. I'm not saying it was okay, and I'm not saying it's clear cut and dry, but what I am saying is like, God damn, there's 4 of y'all cops there. Bust her in the kneecap or something.
Okay, here's my thing though with this particular scenario, and then why I brought up the fact that she went into the house. If you truly scared and you had a chance to escape, you had a chance to go inside your house, You had a
Lock the
chance to go ahead
doors.
and lock the door.
Mhm.
You could have made the phone call and sat in your house, afraid, waiting for assistance.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come outside the house with a knife, you going out there to do damage. She was upset. Now, I definitely, I don't like the idea of the loss of life of a 15-year-old girl.
Absolutely.
But then again, I have to think about the other 15-year-old girl that could have potentially lost her life by being stabbed. Because there was no way, the way this girl was moving with that knife in her hand, that she was not with that intent, with not, what didn't have that intention to go ahead and do damage. She was gonna do some harm. And I know that there's past trauma within our community from these things that have happened in regards to injustices by the cops. But in that moment, and I hate to do this, but I have to say it, in that moment, in this particular scenario, it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
because we want to save, this black woman's life, this little girl's life at 15.
Girl.
But then you have the other girl, I don't know her age and we don't know her information yet, but she was in pink. She could have lost her life too.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, this police officer could have potentially, saved this girl's life.
Yeah, but Reg, it's a tough situation, but the thing about it is, it's what I was saying earlier before, the training of the police academy.
Mhm.
A lot of people have to make quick decisions. They got to make quick decisions. They got to think quick on their feet. And the academy would teach you how to do that and to know that, you know what? Let me handle this situation a little different. Let me not use the gun. Let me use the taser. Not only that, I spoke to a lot of cops, and I'm saying to the cops, like, let me ask you a question. When you see a certain type of situation, why don't you shoot at someone's leg? Why don't you shoot at someone's foot or arm? Why you always got to go for the kill shot? And they were trained to do that in the academy. They cannot go for the legs. They can't hit any other body parts. They got to go for the chest.
Mm.
And to me, I'm like, you know how many people could have been alive if you went for the leg shot just so they could drop?
And I'll talk to that.
Go ahead.
I'll talk to that. So I am a person. I do carry. I am armed. I have taken classes. I have done some training. Now, with a gun, you're holding a deadly weapon for your protection, right? Now, when you're going up against any person, you're trying to leave there with your life. Now, you shoot this person in the leg, they still have functions of their hands. Say they're holding a gun, say they're holding a knife, they can still attack you with it. Now, they're trained to put this enemy down so that you, the person you're defending, or yourself, is gonna live at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So that's what the training is coming down to. So to shoot person in the arm and think you're gonna get this person's you're gonna shoot this gun out of this person's hand like the movies. This is not realistic.
No,
You know what I
it
mean?
doesn't work that way. It doesn't
No.
work that way.
And I agree with you, but if someone's holding a bat or a knife,
Mm-hmm.
go for the leg
That
shot.
really, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
That's the debate.
Exactly.
So let me
It's not a
put this.
projectile. You know?
Well, their thing is to aim for center mass, though. So they go for the easiest part to hit. That's what they're trained to do. Your center
Yeah.
mass is your torso. They're gonna go for the torso, yo. But I didn't. Yeah, I'll continue what I was saying once you finish your thought, though, Derek.
Oh no, I was going to bring this into a question for the group then. So now that we see that the training needs a little bit more a rework. Now, what other solutions do you guys think would work? Like for one solution, I think could help is that they work off of a partner base where a cop comes with somebody or they call for backup. Now, what happens if half of the cops have a gun and then half of them are just non-lethal weapons? So you have one that takes half of the guns away from, or takes away half of that life-threatening decision from at least half of the cops in the situation, and to give a de-escalation. And then like how they did it in Vegas, where they had the guns put into the back of the trunk for the power weapons, just put the regular guns. So like now you have to think about it. Okay, I'm going into the back of my trunk to go grab my gun because I know there's a threat here. You know what I mean? You know, because you're gonna call for backup no matter what. You're gonna say what's going on. I know there's situations where you're gonna be without the weapon, but if you're working off a backup system, I think that could be one potential solution. I want to pose this question out, and I want to start with Greg. I want to hear, what do you got? Do you have anything?
Yo, I'll be real with you. Talking about taking guns away from police in the United States of Florida, that is a waste of time. That is a waste of time, yo. Because I've already said it. Yo, listen, there are literally more guns circulating in the United States than there are people in the United States. There are people who can literally make their own guns in their house, and it works just as good as a gun you bought from the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking, and these guns are like, and if you have, well, you gotta understand how deep the fucking the
culture,
the firearm industry is. Like, they have legit engineers designing these guns, and there's people who can make the shit in their basement, and it works like an engineer made it.
And I think can't you 3D print guns now too?
Yep.
Yeah, you can 3D
and they work
print guns
efficiently.
now.
Mm-hmm.
And they work efficiently. I'm talking about like you could pump 1,000 rounds through it, and it's gonna keep firing. Yo.
And what makes it scary about those? They can be broken down. There's no serial. Nobody knows records of it. Gone. Melt it down. You can use it.
So I'm saying, look, it's cool. It's cool to say like, yo, we need to take the guns away. But like, yo, do you understand the type of force is going to take to actually take the guns away from? Like, it's gonna basically trigger a civil war. This is not, and I'm not being hyperbolic about that. Like, it's going to trigger a civil war, yo. Because you literally will have to use the military to take guns away from people. There's too many guns, yo. Honestly, now what has to be done is education on how to handle a gun properly. And attitudes have to be readjusted. And going back to that's part of what Hans and Nikki was saying when it comes to a cop's mentality when they enter in a certain neighborhood. They already have this heightened sense of threat, of danger. And yo, if you look at the video, although honestly, based on a police officer's training, he did what he was supposed to do. Yeah. And that's hard to accept. However, yo, he pulled his gun mad quick. He pulled his gun. And he did shout at her to drop the knife. But when I tell you, like, it was basically second nature. It's like he already had his gun in his hand when he hopped out the car. That's how fast he pulled that shit. You know what I mean? And ain't no way you going to tell me that this couldn't have been de-escalated without lethal force. It could have been. Correct. That so really, what now, instead of saying like this cop is a murderer, now it's addressing another level of policing when it comes to like, okay, what are y'all teaching them in these academies? Like, Hans, you talking about like, yo, that's literally a tactic to teach a police officer to kneel on somebody's neck. Mm-hmm. That is ridiculous, yo. And and you know what I mean? And if you look at a lot of times, and yo, I'm just gonna keep bouncing off of the points you and Nick made. Yo, like with cops, how they're the ones who instigate or agitate people so they can have a reason to just start going ham on motherfuckers. Like, yo, how many times have you seen a cop starting to arrest somebody and then they're purposely twisting their arm in a way that where it doesn't naturally move? And what do they start saying? Stop resisting. Nigga, my arm doesn't move like fucking Stretch Armstrong, son. You can't. Yeah. You know what I mean? For real. They put the way they put the cuffs on super tight. Yo, even the back of the car is designed to make a suspect or make somebody that's been apprehended uncomfortable.
Correct.
Like everything about law enforcement, everything about correction is to make people feel extremely uncomfortable throughout the process. Maybe that's by design because it's for correction. So I understand the level of that, but they take it and then they add their own. They add their own sick level of, you know what I mean? They twist that shit. You know what
That's
I mean?
the thing. They don't. With I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But with the malevolence of certain individuals,
exactly.
Because John's saying that not only does the training need to be revamped, and not only revamped, it needs to be extended. 6 months is a very short time.
What?
Okay.
Insane.
That's just like 3 months of basic training, and then 3 months of like, okay, rookie ride along thing, and then that's it. You're a cop now. You know, other countries, they require bachelor's degrees. They require, some degree of, criminal psychology so you could de-escalate and understand the criminal mind. They also need to go through some kind of vetting process to where it's like, we're not just letting all these people in. And that's the scary part, because the people who are at the top, they think like, they've known to be prejudiced, biased, racist, whatever. And it's like, if you got these guys in charge, they'll sweep whatever under the rug. If it's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, and it's like, that's not just happening in a specific location. That's very much, as they say, the one bad apple. It's the whole tree that's like that. So to try to dismantle this whole thing, it's crazy, because the systemic process of everything, it's so deeply ingrained in policing itself. Like, all right, we're going into the hood. You know what we got to do? These guys are rough and tough. And then it's like, yo, you can't go in there with that mindset, because you're going to feel threatened the whole time. And it's going to end up with a loss of life or severe injury. That's why my solution was, we were discussing this earlier, either rubber bullets, plastic bullets, rock salt, anything dissolvable that will hurt but not kill. So I think there should be 2 sets of cops. One being the regular peacekeeping. Hey, there's a fight at the bar. They'll have like a nightstick or something like that, but they won't have anything with live ammunition. Where it's like, hey, you know what? We're probably gonna have to break up a fight. Let's bring 3 cops. Hey, relax, guys. And then they need to have the SWAT team. So for when there's mass shootings at a mall or at a school or whatever, it's like, hey, get the guys who are trained to, target center mass, have live rounds, because lives are going to be lost. This is no time for negotiation. This is the action. That's what you have, like those 2. Or, if worse comes to worse, bring up Derek's suggestion where it's like, okay, if they can't get here in time, you could go to the trunk. You have your handguns in the trunk, or you have some concussive grenades. If you don't know what those are, that you throw them, they're really loud, and it's an explosive without shrapnel, basically. So it's so very loud, it'll scare anyone. Oh, what the heck, it'll jolt you, So there's something like that, because not everything has to end in death.
And Fonzie, that's you're right on point, and that comes with the training. That comes with the ideas of making change. And the thing about it is, Reg was touching base on this earlier. Is the people up top, the white ties, the people up top. They're the ones that's making these decisions, and they're the ones, when we do our Black Lives Matter protests, they know what changes need to be met. But instead of making those changes, you know what they do? Give them a holiday. Give them June 19th. Give them a couple of stimulus checks.
Yep.
You know what changes need to be made. And another change that needs to be made is internal affairs. Internal affairs, because you got all these corrupt cops being promoted into internal affairs and letting things slide when they're supposed to be investigating all the other corrupt cops. So you got to have someone who's not part of the system investigating corrupt cops.
Bingo.
you gotta weed out the bad with the good, because there's good cops mixed in with the bad cops.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to, find that out, you gotta have internal affairs do it, and internal affairs are corrupt cops. Some are corrupt cops as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I learned over the years in watching happen in the education system was when they started moving towards, this idea that we were not going to do regular school anymore, and we're trying to move to pushing the charter school system. And they were going to take money away from the regular school system, and they were going to hand it over to these new, run-ups that were going to go ahead and change the way that they did things and do the same job and even better for less money. And if things continue in this way, where people continue to go ahead and complain about the police and their tactics, I wouldn't be surprised at some point if, in our lifetime, we start to see the development of charter police, within cities where they decide, hey, we don't want to use your police force anymore. We're going to go with a privatization of the police force, where it's going to be more accountable, and we're going to take this money away, and we're going to do something different where we have more, control, where the city can have more power and say and more inclusion. And I say that because I've seen it happen in the education system, where a lot of millions of dollars have been just siphoned away from those public schools, where those schools don't even exist anymore, and they've been pushed into these charter schools and they've succeeded. And it was because of stuff where they refused change. They refused to step up and do what needed to be done to go ahead and help out the community. Now, that's not to say that all charter schools do what they need to do. That's a whole nother conversation. But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in many of these cities that are dealing with, major problems with their police force, they decide, what? Let's go with the charter system. This company over here, they can do the job. They say they can do it. They can hire these cops. They'll pay them less. They'll do a better job than you, and they'll be, held accountable. And that could potentially happen.
Just to counter that, it feels like mercenary work. I feel like that can
exactly
privatization. Path.
But the thing is, we already have privatization. We have that with prisons, and we in many cases, some of the prisons that are run now are privatized. Some of the leading prisons are privatized, and it's because those other prisons, and many of them that were running, weren't doing so hot. People were dying or being maltreated. They went to the private system, and in many cases, the private system has done very well. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point someone says, you know what, let's go private and watch some billionaire group come in and slap their thing on there.
Like I was saying, joking before, not really joking. Like, this is very Judge Dredd route. Like, every corporation is gonna have their goons that they pay, and they do things their way. Well, I pay you, and I want you to deal with these MFers right here this way. I just feel like the thing is, we can restructure how it's done, but at the end of the day, if you're coming in with this negative mentality that these group of people are lesser people, and there's financial investment in screwing with these people, there's financial investment in the guns, because remember, there's a pipeline between military surplus and police station and police departments. There is a pipeline for that. So it's not about, get rid of the guns. It's like, no, mentally, if you are vested in subjugating and oppressing a group of people, because now you can funnel these people into prisons, you can funnel these subsidies and the army surplus, the military surplus supplies to these precincts. There's a system here that feeds off of all of this. So we don't need to respect your life. It's not that they don't know or are scared of Black people. They are not scared of Black. That's one thing. They are not scared of Black people. Okay, they don't give a damn about how strong Tyrone or Deshaun is. They don't respect that. They do not respect Daquan. Daquan, I'm gonna roll up in your house, tell you to shut the fuck up, and if you want to fight me, I'm putting you down. That's not fear. I don't respect you. I don't respect your space. I don't respect your existence. I'm coming here to fuck you up. And if you make me even blink, I'm putting you down. That's what fuels that shit. It is not fear. It's not a misunderstanding. Because if you can sit here and give a cheeseburger to a nigga that popped 12 people in a church, you are not scared of black people.
I got a question for y'all. Now, imagine being a rookie cop. You want to be a cop. Now you're coming into the game. You're a rookie and you're stepping into the game. And now you got to answer to a racist, evil, crooked lieutenant chief, or your partner's racist and a crooked person. Now they're handling a situation bad, and you just happen to be there, and now you got to do 10, 12 years in jail because they handled the situation bad, and you can't overthrow them.
And there's a lot of them dealing with that. They swallow it.
As every good cop, or I don't want to say a good majority, because that's what they'll say. They'll say, hey, look, as a matter of fact, Amanda Seals on her page, she had somebody she was responding to like, hey, look, if you're not willingly knowing that this is what you're going to be going up against, then don't become a cop. Because, because if you have the mindset like like we all do here, as family, it's like, no, why would we want to purposely hurt people? We want to help people. If I'm putting on the badge, I'm putting on the uniform, that means I want to do a duty or a service to the community. And there's these other people who go in there with that gang or mob mentality, think like, oh yeah, I'm going to swing my dick and I'm going to do whatever I want and they can't tell me nothing. It's like, yo, that's the wrong kind of attitude to have, to be a public servant, and like you said, Hans, these people, they're gonna suppress you, they're gonna threaten you and your family and your whatever. They're gonna be like, you know what? I'm cool with the lieutenant. I'm gonna say you did some shit. He's gonna write you up, fuck up your money. Now you can't this, and then it's like, damn, now you touching my pockets, you touching my integrity. I can't feed my family. And everybody's like, oh, you a coward, you with this. Like, what do you want him to do? Go rogue? Steven Seagal, so just shoot up. You can't do that. You
can't be the good guy in a system that's not designed for that. It's trying to be the good guy when you work for the mob. That's not going down.
Right.
It's just not.
I'm gonna change
Your
them.
job is to whack niggas. Do your job.
Same thing with politics. Same thing with everybody has the mindset like, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna be good. Oh yeah, there's gonna be somebody that's higher up than you that's gonna squash all that good. You're gonna get upset. You're gonna say, might as well just do just a little bit of bad to get the good. Then eventually, all the good goes out the window, and you end up like one of them.
So going into habits, I do want to share this this clip that Steve Harvey played, and I want to discuss it. Please let me know if you have any troubles hearing this. But
I guess we're transitioning.
Yes.
They already.
Wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. The stock market been open 2 hours. They already making decisions about your life, and your ass was asleep. The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. Rich.
All right. So I just wanted to go into that. Do you feel what happened?
Nah, I was gonna say Nikki, get him.
Oh, you got it. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Nikki, get him.
In short, fuck that. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, this is all a ruse to trick people into slavery. And I'm like, I don't know no rich niggas that's getting up and plowing shit with all the minions that's doing all the hard work for them. Name one. Give me one. No. You know who's waking up at 8 in the morning? The poor people that's propping this rich ass up. So shut up, Steve. It's a bunch of minions that's doing all the hard work for you. So you can be on stage and talk about Team No Sleep. You got bitches that's booking your appointments for you. You got bitches that sitting here doing all the dirty work, ordering shit for you, wiping your kids' asses, washing your cars. You're not fucking doing all of that work by yourself. Stop it. And people need to sleep. That perpetuates slavery, capitalistic mentality that keeps us all locked into a 9 to 5 and being a number. Shut up and stop teaching people that shit. That's all I got to say.
You know, it's crazy.
Throw my snap.
You know, it's crazy. I want to see that Bible quote. I want to see that Bible quote. Like, you know, there must have been the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not sleep." Because I never seen
be
that.
a human being and have basic physical
Holding hands will destroy you.
Okay. now here's something I was thinking about. He does now. You know, for most people, I get that.
Right.
What he's trying, and for me, the way I received the message was that, you know what, it was a kind of, you know, to stir people that do need that motivational, you know, push. I don't think it's for everybody.
Agreed.
You know, I think it's for people that don't necessarily, you know, have that drive at all. And he's speaking to them, you know, and let's be real, we know who these people are. We have friends, we have family, we know who they are, and they need to listen to that. And if we could, we would force their face into that pile of crap and force, like, listen, you need to listen to this, and force them to, you know, like, you need to get up, go, get a job, go, get up now, you know. And as messed up as it is, you know, whenever what was that dude that used to come on in them commercials would tell us to go to college?
The Everest dude?
What are you doing with your life? Get up off the couch.
You know, but, you know, and I'm not saying you need to go to college, but I get what Steve is trying to say. But I also feel that there is a hate for Steve. There is a personal hate for Steve for some reason.
It's because of those fucking books, right? I think like a man should fuck a lot of niggas' game up.
I don't like TED Talk pimping. I don't like that mess. TED Talk pimping.
TED Talk pimping. That's a new one, yo.
I don't like those things, okay? And first of all, the niggas that paid to go, they're already motivated. If you paid $600 for this course to change your life, you already about it. Okay?
That's real.
You're scamming people who are looking for answers. The person that does not care will never care. They're not going to care. Now, usually it has to be some type of life event that happens where it's like, oh my God, I really am stuck out here. That's usually going to move the needle. Not to say that these things don't work, but a lot of these things, I feel like they're TED Talk pimping. And sometimes somebody needs a random message to come from anywhere, and it gives them that kick in the butt. Fine. Mm-hmm. But there's too many scammers with that. We know, we've seen these types, like, go get your life together. The Everest guy. Yeah, all those people that went and signed up for them damn Everest courses, their degrees are fake. They're not credited, and they owe like $60,000 to Uncle Sam. It's a scam. Damn it.
Talking about a scam. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Oh shit! I'm just laughing, nigga. Shit.
Oh no, talking about scams and, you know, people calling in and stuff like that. So Kevin Samuels, I'm gonna let Reg go ahead and take that one.
Look, the way you know what, in Kevin Samuels, I'll be honest with you. You know, from what I've seen of the videos, because I sat and watched them with my wife, and, you know, we'll watch them from time to time, and we'll be like, you know what, he's right.
Give a little background. So people who don't know.
So Kevin Samuels, I don't know if he's just a motivational speaker or what, but he does have this talk or whatever, and he puts out these conversations that he has with women and men on YouTube, and he's been trying to go ahead and push people in the right direction to become prosperous, and, you know, one way or another. And usually it's on, you know, dating and relationships when he talks with women. And, you know, with men, it's about, you know, being successful and being motivated and getting up and doing what they supposedly need to be doing. But a lot of it, from what I've seen of him doing, is just common sense stuff. But I will say he has a harsh way of delivering it to people. You know, he's cold-blooded with it. like, yo, you don't need to be talking to people like that, you know, and think it's okay. But what he's saying has truth and value. And if you can take it for that, it'll be cool. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to call this man and go get that verbal lashing, but
I think they like it.
I think they do like it. Some people they like getting that. You ain't doing enough with your life. Look at you, where you at? What's wrong with you? You got problems. Nobody wants you. You got 3 kids. You work as a hairdresser. You a 4. I mean, he goes in, and it's like, yo, you pushing people to suicide. You need to chill. but he just put it out there.
I think that's his gimmick, though. People like negativity. They like watching people get roasted. It's that. We talked about that at length. That culture of tell them off, put them down. Tell them about they thing. And so he's tapping into that market, especially even though he may not be part of cancel culture in a sense, but it's kind of cancel culture-esque. You tell these chicks, they talking about they independent. They don't want a man to do this or that. They look at you. Why you got 3 chins? Look at your gut. Look at your teeth. Some mess like that. So it's that high school cafeteria roast with a little bit of common sense that you probably would have gotten it from your parents if they taught you better enough. But I think that's part of his marketing. I don't particularly find him offensive, but I don't really watch him either. And a lot of and I'm just speaking from a woman's perspective, a lot of Black women particularly, they feel like that's his brand, is to roast Black women and to piggyback off of what they call misogyny towards Black women. And I did pick up on that because many times when he's talking to whomever he's roasting, he's like, that's the problem with you Black women. And I'm like, and I'm like, and that's why I kind of feel like he's a bit of a charlatan for that, because it's like, it's one thing if you're going to call out an individual for being superficial or not having their life together and having unrealistic or whatever type of expectations that don't fit what the path that they're really trying to go in. But when you do the you Black women thing, I'm like, okay, so you're doing a version of the you people thing, but that there's a type of negativity that exists online that likes to disrespect and demean Black women, and you're cashing in on it. And I think that's whack and very, very, very lame. And unfortunately, there are going to be that find an audience, a particular type of audience that they want to talk shit or bring down these people, but they can't do it out in the real world. So they go online and they commune together and say, yeah, these bitches this and these women that. And we'll see that in different camps. Like even with the women, with some women, they peddle misandry all day. Particularly with a certain brand of feminists, they do that. Whereas you don't have any, it's hard to find a neutral space where they're trying to give people perspective without feeding into the ugly parts of our culture and society. But unfortunately, Kevin Samuels knows exactly what he's doing when he does things like that. So it's like, yeah, you put some misogyny in there with a slice of common sense, and it's like, yo, he's speaking facts, kicking knowledge out here. I'm like, no. That there's a way to kick that knowledge without doing this other shit. And unfortunately, people are coming in with other shit. Like, yeah, tell them bitches, yeah, she want a 6-figure nigga, tell that bitch to shut up. And that's what they're feeding off of. It's not the common sense that like, yo, you need to love a person for who they are and have your own life together before you have these requests. He could have just left it at that. Who's going to give him pushback? But that's not going to get the clicks. So he knows what he's doing.
Word, yeah. I mean, and Kevin Samuels, people don't realize like he's been on YouTube for a very long time. And if you visit his early videos, he was coming on screen like Mr. Rogers. He was mad. He was mad, laid back, talking like a nerd. He wasn't even dressing as sharp as he was, as he is now. Know what I mean? So trust me, everything he's doing is for the clicks. Yeah. And he's selling, and with a lot of these dudes, a big way they make money is by selling one-on-one sessions, which is fucking a big ass waste of money, nigga. Like
scam.
Like, he's like, people are paying thousands of dollars so he can just talk to you on the phone. just to repeat the same shit that you say. You need to wash your ass, when you go into the shower. Like, nigga,
you right. I do need to wash my ass.
Like, what? You know what I mean? But yo, he's entertaining, and yeah, he does spit some facts. But don't get gassed, man. He's another YouTube hustler, yo, and that's just what it is.
It's a gimmick, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He just found a lane. He found a lane. He's snappy. He gaslights. Like that one video that blew him up. Look, I analyzed that video. You know what I mean? And he jumped in gaslighting. He was looking for shit to latch onto so he can just black on her. So he can just snap on her, yo. You know what I mean? So I mean, yo, he's like I said, it's not like he don't spit facts, but guess who else was spitting facts? Derek Jackson. So
he was hustling ass.
That nigga was full of shit. And also, dude's been divorced a couple times too.
Oh, word?
I'm gonna get yeah, man. Like, son, yo, all these YouTube niggas is full of shit. Well, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, they full of it, bro. I ain't taking no relationship advice from him. I mean, nah, nigga. Just like how people are quick, you know, like you wouldn't take the main reason why people, you know, don't take advice from Steve Harvey is because the nigga has 2 failed marriages under his belt already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And according to what's being told, like that shit was his fault. He was the asshole in those relationships.
He also sided with Trump. He was also taking pictures with Trump, hanging out with him.
I don't hold that against him. I don't know, man. That's that
rich
Trump
man
thing.
Stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, that Trump thing. I don't like it when people use the fact that, you know, they tried to go speak with Trump as a way to shit on somebody. It's like with Ice Cube. You know what I mean? Like, yo, who else was he going to speak to? Elmer Fudd? Like, give me a break. You know? I mean, he was trying, like, yo, Trump was the dude in office. Who else you going to speak to? Who else you going to try to speak to? Like, he tried. I ain't mad at Steve Harvey for trying to do some shit. You know what I mean? But he full of shit with a lot of other things, and he be misquoting the Bible too. So don't fucking take it.
You know what's crazy? But you know what's crazy? He didn't try to do anything. He just tried to, you know, hang out with the cool guy, the cool person. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was trying. Yeah, I don't think he was trying to do anything where it was like, oh, let me do this for the black people. Let me do this to. He just wanted to be down with whoever was more popular at the time. And this guy's running for president. Maybe I could get some, you know, something done free. You know what I'm saying?
I believe that there's an element of that. Yeah, be next to who's powerful at the time.
But it's not shitting on him because of that. It's shitting on him when Trump became a bad guy to everyone. Now you tried to disassociate yourself with him. You know? Now you're like, oh, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, like you said, I wouldn't take no advice from Steve Harvey. He flip-flops a lot. You know, he went through 2 failed marriages. You know what I'm saying? He does. Obviously, I know he probably sleeps 8 hours, but he's telling you he don't. So, I don't know. I wouldn't take no advice.
Don't mess with my sleep, man.
Okay.
That's the truth, and it's about to hit that time now. So, this was episode 3 of Theory of Relatives. This was your host, Derek.
I'm Relative Alex. Good night.
Relative Nick signing off. Good night, people.
It's Relative Reg.
This is Relative Greg, and I'm getting 8 hours of sleep tonight.
And a special guest, Hans. Go ahead.
It's Relative Hans. Thank you guys for having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was a great having you. Everybody, please remember to like and subscribe and comment. And we are out of here.
Later.
Peace.